My name is Michael Prejean. The network is our attempt at creating a modern podcast version of the Negro Motorist Green Book. Every episode is designed to help the physical, mental, spiritual, and financial health of Black people living in and traveling through America. Today's guest is a professional organizer, the owner, operator of Wake, Pray, Create, Mississippi, LLC. I'm assuming that's what the MS is for, right, McKee?
It could be for MS or it could be for my initials, Mackee Sykes. So whichever works for you.
Okay, so the owner operator of Wake, Pray, Create, professional organizer, Mackee Sykes. McKee, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. I am doing well. I can't complain. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. This is we need this. We need this conversation today. I know a lot of people who need this. Some really good stuff on the way. Some really good stuff that we're going to talk about. So let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about Mackee Sykes. Who is Mackee? Where's Mackee from? How did she grow up?
Well, Mackee Sykes, that's me. I was born and raised here in Mississippi. I am from a very small town called Sallis, Mississippi, which is about 10 miles west of a slightly bigger town called Kosciusko. A
How many
lot of
stoplights in your town?
Well, in my town where I grew up, there's no stoplights. There's only a couple of there's only a couple of convenience stores, and just to show you how how small it is, we just got a Dollar General like a year ago. So that's like a big thing where I come from.
Okay, that is small. That's a
It's
small
small.
town.
That's about 10 miles outside of Kosciusko, Mississippi, which I think a lot of people may be familiar with because Kosciusko is the hometown of our beloved Oprah Winfrey. So,
Oprah.
so
Yeah.
you know, I tend to tell people when they ask me where I'm from, I usually just say Kosciusko because a lot of people have heard of Kosciusko by way of Oprah Winfrey. So, I grew up on a farm, dirt road country. I might add, I grew up on a farm. I am the youngest of seven. I have five sisters. I have one brother. I pretty much grew up as an only child. There's a huge age gap between me and my siblings. My parents were both educators. My mother was a school librarian for the elementary school. My dad was the vice principal, math teacher. He was the vice principal math teacher. He was a basketball coach. He was a football coach, and he was the school bus driver
Oh wow.
for.
Wow. You did it all.
He did it all. He wore many hats, and so he did that during the day, and in the evening he was a farmer. So we grew our own produce. We had peas, we had corn, we had butter beans, collard greens, all the vegetables you could think of. And plus, my dad had cattle, heads of cattle. So I grew up, I spent a many a summers in pea patches, picking peas and shelling peas and picking corn and shelling corn and all that kind of stuff. So I had a real country life growing up.
Okay. 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 So was the entire community kind of like a farming community?
Yes, where I lived, my grandparents, my great aunts and uncles, second and third cousins, they were all farmers. So our land is kind of connected together, and we would do everything together. We would share, what we didn't have, they would share with us. What we had and they didn't have, we would share with them. So, it was a real community effort. And of course, for those that weren't necessarily into farming, we would share, our crops or sell some of our crops to local neighbors and things like that.
Okay. Okay. So I'm assuming you have a green thumb.
I mean, I guess I don't grow vegetables now. I have three plants, but
Okay. Okay.
I
Because
don't.
that was my next question. I was going to ask you if you were growing any vegetables on your own, but if you wanted to, could you?
I've tried my hand at a couple of tomato plants. I don't have the patience to water them and try to protect them from direct sunlight all the time. And so they typically fall by the wayside. So I just kind of stick to indoor plants. So,
Okay, okay, nothing wrong with that. So let me ask you this before we move on to the next thing. Growing up in a farming community, do we need more farmers? Specifically, do we need more Black families who are farming?
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. I
okay,
feel like it's a dying profession, especially with Black communities, just because our generation is not, I don't think agriculture is really stressed in a lot of schools, maybe in rural schools perhaps, but it really wasn't stressed when I was growing up. We didn't have a lot of agriculture classes that kids could participate in, like 4-H and all that kind of stuff. Those courses kind of fell by the wayside. um, I don't know a lot of Black farmers now back home. I know those that have heads of cattle, but they're not really growing fields of, produce and things like that, like the way I grew up. So I do think that it is a dying profession. It would be nice to see more Black um, farmers, in our communities, but I think that's something that has to come through the school. And teachers and school boards really have to implement those agricultural courses and make it available to students, because everybody doesn't want to necessarily go to college, or if they do want to go to college, they may not want to get into a white collar field. They may want to go back into their communities and have farms, and
yeah, yeah,
if they're equipped with it, I think it could be much more successful.
definitely, definitely. I wish I knew how to farm. I actually have a guest coming on in the near future who is gonna, kind of break down some farming stuff for us because, I think we definitely need, you know, we need to be able to cultivate the land and grow some of our own things. All
Yeah.
right. So small town. Tell me what the name of your hometown was again.
It's Sallis.
Sallis. So you leave Sallis and then you go to Mississippi State, right?
Correct. Hmm.
Okay. What was that like? Was it kind of like an adventure going from small town to, a big college town?
Absolutely. Um, I graduated from a Black high school. So we didn't have a lot of white students or other races attending our school. It was all Black. We did have a few white students, and actually one white student did graduate in my class, but I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with large groups of white people.
Hmm.
So when I went to Mississippi State, it was definitely a culture shock. You saw all walks of life: white, Black, Middle Eastern, Asian, you name it. It was like a melting pot of different cultures. So it was definitely an experience for me that I really appreciated.
Okay. I'm just wondering why is Starkville, Mississippi called Stark Vegas? My y'all, your family, so my family's from Mississippi, and I'm trying to figure out, how is I love Mississippi. Let me say that first. But I'm trying to figure out how anything in Mississippi is called Vegas. So break that down for me at least.
I honestly cannot tell you where the name Star Vegas came from, because I don't think it was really a thing when we were in college. It was something that was kind of established much later after I had graduated and moved on.
Okay.
Um, so I really can't tell you why it's called Star Vegas, but it's called Star Vegas. You
Okay.
know,
Okay. So that's a new thing. That's a new thing.
yeah.
So what did you study while you were there?
I studied English. When I went to college, my goal was I was going to become an attorney. I just knew that I was gonna be a prosecutor, and I was gonna put the bad guys in jail. And
Okay.
probably after my sophomore year, I realized, yeah, this ain't what I want. And then I realized, oh, I've got multiple more years after college. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to do this. And by that point, I was too far in my degree to change and have to kind of either start over or spend an extra year. So I just kind of stuck with English and graduated in May of 2005, summer of 2005.
Okay. 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 All right. So we're gonna jump into what I'm really excited about talking to you about, which is wake, pray, create. But before we do that, tell everybody where they can find you, because I know that after they hear this conversation, they're definitely going to go and look you up. So where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram at Wake Pray Create. I also have a website, which is Wake Pray Create in my initials, MS at the end. So you definitely can find me on those three platforms. And if you have any questions, either shoot me a message. You can email me at hello@wakepraycreatems.com, or you can shoot me a DM in Instagram or a message on Facebook.
Okay, so tell me about the name Wake, Pray, Create. How'd you come up with that name?
It was really just something that just kind of came out of nowhere. When I was thinking of my business name, it originally just kind of started with home decor first, with mixed with a little home organization. But as I kind of started to kind of delve into more organization, it just kind of made sense to just kind of keep the name. I kind of built a little bit of a following, and so I didn't want to have to change my name and start all over again. But I just feel like, when you wake up, you want to feel rejuvenated from your last night's sleep, and you just want to, of course, you want to pray about your day, and then you
Hmm.
really want to, kind of delve into your creativity. And so I feel like with my name, Wake, Pray, Create, we can create some spaces that you can learn to love and enjoy for the rest of your life.
Okay. Okay. So this takes us into your why, what you are passionate about. So in your questionnaire, you said that you are most passionate about organizing.
Hmm.
Dive into that for us.
Well, I always say that organizing or organization is a form of self care. And a lot of people don't think that. But people fail to realize that, organizing, having visual clutter in your home, it can really wear on your mental state. It affects
Hmm.
you emotionally. Affects you mentally. It affects you physically sometimes. It impacts your relationships with your family members. It can cause stress on your relationships with your significant others, because you may have a lot of clutter and your significant other wants you to do something about it, and you just don't have the tools to really tackle the problem. And so, of course, that impacts you a great deal. Um, a lot of people are ashamed of their homes because of the clutter. It's a very isolating um, experience. You're embarrassed by your space. You don't invite family members over. You don't invite friends over. Your children can't invite friends over. And so you find yourself cooped up in this house, and you feel the walls closing in on you. And so, what I like to, shed light on is that you don't have to live that way. A lot of times people have the ability to organize, they just don't know where to start. And so
Hmm.
that's where people
Hmm.
like me come in. We pick a spot that's bothering you the most, and we just kind of slowly chip away at it until we get to a point where we've eliminated all of the things that no longer serve joy for you, whether those are clothes that you've outgrown, toys that the children have outgrown or broken, they're damaged, whether it's expired food that you had long forgotten about. Whatever the case may be, we eliminate those things so that you now have a space where you can now organize what you have left in a system that you can easily find things. You're not wasting valuable time looking for stuff, you're not tripping over things. And now you have this space that you can now relax in and you can be proud of. I always say that your home is your oasis, it is your safe haven. It is the place where you come to revive and rejuvenate yourself from all of the stresses of the world. And it's really hard to do that when you come home or you dread coming home because you don't like the state your home is in. So I really am passionate about changing homes because it's not just about changing your home, it's about changing your life, changing your way of thinking, breaking old habits. So I really encourage families, when I have clients that, have a home with a spouse or children, you really need to bring them on board because if you guys are not all on the same page, they could unintentionally sabotage what it is that you're trying to do because you're wanting to be more organized and they didn't get the memo about it. And so they're kind of still doing the same old thing. And it's causing frustration with you, which could eventually cause problems and resentment in the relationship in the home. So I definitely feel like I said, I feel like it's a form of self care. If you're organized, it just makes your day go a whole lot smoother.
Yes. So for those of you who are listening, you are listening to an organizational professional. So I don't know if y'all, just heard how she was breaking that down. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you are looking at an organizational professional. So if you are listening on podcasts, make sure you go to iTunes, give us 5 stars. I definitely appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Follow the podcast on Facebook, The Network with Michael Prejean, and then mosey on over to Instagram, the underscore network underscore podcast. Okay, Mackee, I got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
The first thing is, so you mentioned that organizing comes easy for you.
Hmm.
Have you encountered any people where it is just extremely difficult for them to get organized? Like, because I know you mentioned that everybody can do it, but they don't know where to start. Have you met somebody who was just kind of desperate? Like, hey, I can't do this. I need your help.
Oh, yeah. A lot of my clients are, they're very overwhelmed. It's just like I, they've attempted to do it. They've started somewhere and they start pulling out stuff. And, 30 minutes or an hour into it, they look around and their whatever space they're in looks like a bomb just went off. And they can't make heads or tails of what they're going to keep or what they're going to throw away. And they get frustrated and they just, collapse in it almost. But I have had clients that really kind of they need a lot of help in terms of, kind of staying on track. I do have clients that can kind of get easily distracted with projects and things. And so they start something and, you know, they get distracted with something else, whether it's kids or work or life or whatever. And so they have a million different projects around their home that they've started, but they have not completed. And so, what I like to do with those clients is I like to say, okay, let's eliminate some of these projects. You can't do everything, and it's okay to, delegate some responsibilities. Maybe you need to hire somebody else to come in and do this. Maybe you need to hire somebody else to come in and do that. Because you just don't have the time, you don't have the patience, you don't have the attention span, so to speak, to focus on all of these projects at once. So a lot of times, just hearing that, they're like, I never looked at it that way. And you can just see a weight lifted off their shoulders because they're trying to do everything all at once and they realize they only have two hands and they're only one person and there's only so many hours in the day. So delegating things doesn't make you a failure, doesn't make you a bad parent, doesn't make you a bad spouse. It just says I'm human and I can't be everything to everybody. I can't do everything for everybody. It's just impossible. And once they get to that point, you really start to see a shift in the way they think. And they're much more open to the process and they're not as discouraged or overwhelmed because I'm with them the whole step of the way. I'm there for as long as it takes because I want to see this through. I want to get you to the other side. I'm not going to just leave you hanging in the middle of it. So, um, I think people, really feel much better after, we get the process started. They realize it's not as bad as they originally thought it was going to be.
Okay, that's good. So, um, remember, she's explaining how organization is a form of self care.
Hmm.
Delegate. Don't feel bad if you have to delegate. So it sounds like organization is a skill, and
It
some
is.
people are better at it than others. And if you're
Absolutely.
and if you're not good at it, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
that's self care. That's self care.
Hmm.
That's really really good. Clutter and disorganization can impact your life. I need y'all to understand this. It can leave you stressed, embarrassed, and isolated. It can strain your relationship. I need y'all to make sure that y'all are hearing what Mackee is saying. So I was on the web page and just kind of browsing, and of course, I follow you on Instagram, and one of the things that I thought of, I was like, wow, what um how much stress and strain does it take for someone to be like, okay, I gotta call McKee. I have to call Wake Pray Create, because what I wrote in my notes was, I can't believe that somebody would actually let you into their house with it looking like that.
Hmm.
But you touched on that. We get to a point where we're feeling a little desperate. So yeah, that's eh. Okay, so let me ask you this. I got another question here, but I want to get here before this. So we're still in the pandemic, of
Hmm.
course, but in the heart of the pandemic, when we were forced to spend more time at home, what revelation did that give you as far as your business goes?
Well, my business actually came about because of the pandemic. I now had the time to really slow down and really think about what was important and what I kind of wanted to do with my life. I have a 9 to 5 job, but at the same time, I wanted something for myself. I wanted to do something that could change lives. And so, I love to organize. Several of my family and friends have asked me to come in and organize their spaces and stuff like that. And so, a lot of them encouraged me to, like, hey, you should really turn this into a business. My husband, Kyle, definitely encouraged me to, like, hey, you're really good at this. I think you could really make something out of this. So, I started doing a few projects with some families for free just to kind of test my, you know, get my feet wet to see if this is something that I could do long term. And they were more than accommodating and really worked with me. And they were like, McKee, you did such an amazing job. I didn't realize my space was this bad. And now that I see it, I'm completely I'm completely embarrassed at the way I was living before.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, all right, I think I can do this. And so I started, I created a website. I, started doing more posts about it, and I was getting, a lot of great feedback, and people were kind of reaching out to me by word of mouth. And so, that's kind of how it all started. My business started because I didn't have anything else better to do. I couldn't travel. We couldn't visit family. We were just kind of stuck at home. And so I found all of this new found time on my hands. And so I decided to make the best of it.
And you're changing people's lives. You're
Yes.
changing people's lives. Um, you said that your number one goal with every client is to make their life better. Um, you impacted my household,
I did.
because you did, because my wife Kimberly, she saw some of the things that you were doing, and she was inspired. you
Aw.
know so we have some wait pray create imitations in our house. So we got our mainly our kitchen, right?
Hmm.
So we did some things in the kitchen, got our pantry together. And it's an ongoing process. Kim continues to kind of get things together here and there, some
Hmm.
things in our bathroom and bedroom. So you have definitely inspired us. And it's a huge change. Earlier today, I was in a funk. Um, and I had to clean up. I just had to just kind of go around and go ahead and, let me fold these clothes. I'm tired of looking at them. Let me pick this up. Let me go ahead and sweep in here, move these things around, and it helped me feel better because that clutter was just,
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
just kind of had me in a funk. Um, you're helping people reclaim their spaces.
Hmm.
That's a huge deal. So do me a favor, walk us through the process of reclaiming a space. What's first?
Well, we'll just say that I've already, have a client that has signed on, and so they're ready. So let's just say we're going to tackle, I don't know, we'll start with the kitchen. And so this client has a nice sized kitchen, but they're not able to really prepare a meal because their countertops are filled with, kitchen gadgets and mail and schoolwork and you name it. And so they really don't have a designated space to prepare a meal. They find themselves making multiple trips to the grocery store. They have a pantry, but it's packed full of stuff. So what we would do is we would pick a space. Mostly we would probably start with the pantry and we would clear everything out. And as we're doing that, we're putting like items together. So all of our canned goods, so on and so forth. We are, of course, getting rid of things that are expired. We don't want to be feeding our families expired food and things like that. So we're setting those off to the side to throw away. If there's items that just weren't a real hit with the family, you tried the recipe, it didn't work. So if they're still within their expiration date, I would try to encourage them to donate that to their local pantry. A lot of people are really suffering right now because of the pandemic. They don't have, jobs and stuff like that. So they rely heavily on food pantries and church charities and things like that. So I definitely would encourage them to donate those items to, a local charity or a shelter or something like that. And so once we've done the decluttering and we've kind of organized and we have like items together, then we would think about, okay, so what's the order of importance in your pantry? So, depending on the number of shelves, we would kind of focus on, well, this shelf can be dedicated for, let's just say, snacks. If you have children and you want them to be able to grab a snack without having to come to you and you have to go get up and go in the kitchen and go in the pantry and go to the highest shelf to get the snack, it's now at a level where the children can get it themselves. We put things in order of importance, like, okay, maybe we would start with snacks and then maybe move on up to breakfast, maybe some lunch items, that they can grab and stuff like that. We would try to take advantage of all of the space that's in the pantry, not just on the shelves, but if there's space on the walls. I definitely say, advise clients to take advantage of that vertical space on their pantry door. We can invest in a good shelving system that way, that you can store extra items on the shelf so that you can have more space on your shelves for other items. Um, Depending on their budget, we may invest in some bins and baskets to kind of house like products together, add some labels and things like that. And then once we're done, they can stand back and take pride in it. A lot of the times what happens is, after they've done the decluttering process, I usually send them off, go take a nap, watch TV or something, and let me work my magic. So once I've gotten a clear idea of, how they want what's important to them in terms of creating zones and stuff, then I go ahead and apply that information and create a space that, that they like, and they can maintain for years to come. I'm always about making systems simple, because the simpler they are, the easier they are to maintain. When you get into complex stuff, people lose interest, they don't have
Mm-hmm,
time for
mm-hmm.
it. And so if you can make it as easy as possible, they tend to stick with it much longer. So,
That's good. That's good.
mhm.
Reclaim your space and change your life. Just come on, get all of that clutter off of your shoulders. That's good. as you were talking, you know, and you talked about once you finish the decluttering, you kind of send them off. I saw Wait Pray Create on like HGTV. I saw just something like that. I saw that. So
Hmm.
you know, perhaps as Wait Pray Create grows, boom, we're gonna see Wait Pray Create
Let's speak
with
that
the.
into existence.
Let's go ahead and do it. So that we're gonna have a YouTube channel for Wake Pray Create. Then next thing you know, we're gonna see you all over the place.
Yes.
So listen, people, reclaim your space. If you need
Reclaim
help
it.
reclaiming your space, you can get in touch with Mackee of Wake Pray Create. Mackee, tell us one more time where we can find you.
You can find me on social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram at Wake Pray Create. You can also find me on my website at wakepraycreatems.com.
So she told y'all twice already. So hopefully, as you've been listening or watching, you've already gone to her page and you're scrolling through and you're liking and sharing some of those things to your story. Okay, that's good stuff. I love it. You truly, truly are a professional. Your vision, the way you communicate the vision behind what you're doing, you said it perfectly. It's simple. It's a simple system and it's effective. You got a great vision for it. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna tell you. Here's an idea. I want to throw this out to you before we move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Um, Wake, pray, create gift cards. Right. So I can give it as a birthday present or a
Yes.
Christmas gift. I got a a family member who, I like going to their house, but sometimes it's
Yeah.
a little cluttered, so I'm gonna get them, hopefully their feelings don't get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm gonna get them a Wait, Pray, Create gift card,
Yeah.
and then they can use their gift card and use your services.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to throw that out to you because I thought about that earlier. I had that in my notes as well. So you do mention you got a 9 to 5 job along with Wait, Pray, Create. Um, is there anything that keeps you up at night?
Well, what keeps me up at night is even though I love what I do, I think about the longevity of it. This is a back-breaking job. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of, you know, skill, but it also just takes, it takes a lot out of me. When I do a job, I am focused on it 100% of the way from the beginning to end. It keeps me up at night. And so for me, I wonder like how long can I really keep this up? You know, Even though it's therapeutic for me, I'm only one person. And then I think about just like am I doing enough? Even though I feel like I'm changing lives, sometimes I wonder like well, you could be doing more. Maybe you need to focus on youth. Maybe you need to give back at church. Maybe you need to participate more in different little organizations in your area. And I think about those things. And then I think about, well, Mackee, you work so hard. Are you really going to get to enjoy life? My dad, I lost my dad in 2016, and he was one of the hardest working men I've ever known, and he spent his whole life working and having multiple jobs at one time, and we never really took vacations growing up. And so when he got older and he got his health began to decline, he wanted to start traveling more, but because of his health he couldn't do it. And I remember maybe a year or so before he passed away, he told me, he was like, Mackee, I want you to plan a trip for me, plan a trip for us. And I was like, well, where do you want to go, Daddy? And he's like, I want to go out of the country. He had never been out of the country. And I was like, okay, where do you want to go? He's like, I want to go to Egypt. And I was like, okay. And he's like, even if we just go and we get out of the plane and we just touch our feet on the ground and then we get back on the plane and fly back home, I want to say I went to Egypt. And I was like, okay, Daddy. And then he kind of went on. He's like, I've worked so hard and I've tried to provide a stable life for you and your brother and your mom. And I'm looking back over my life and I didn't enjoy it the way that I should have, you know. And I regret not taking more vacations. I regret not traveling more because now I can't do it, you know. I'm too sick, I'm too feeble to do it. And so that just really stuck with me because I don't want to be his age in my 70s looking back over my life and thinking all I did was work. So I do want to enjoy life. I do want to travel more. But just kind of figuring out a way, how can I balance that with this job, this business that I have, because right now it's just me. And I know eventually I'm gonna have to bring in help. I'm gonna have to
Hmm.
delegate
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because I can't do it all by myself. So trying to find someone that can match my skill, match my patience, that can do it the way that I would do it, and I don't have to be there to hold their hand the whole way, um, does kind of give me a little bit of anxiety, you know. So,
Yeah. That one that's definitely that's real.
hmm,
Because we oftentimes we learn our work ethic from our parents.
absolutely.
Um, but I do believe that your father gave you great wisdom,
Hmm.
in sharing those things with you. Um, so as you grow, I think you can definitely um, honor the life of your father by making sure that you make space, that you reclaim your space as
Hmm.
far as getting rest and
Hmm.
time to rejuvenate and travel.
Hmm.
Make sure that you make it to Egypt.
I will. It's on
You
my
know,
bucket list.
yeah, make sure you make it to Egypt because I think that'll be a great thing. And you said it yourself. Hold on, it's in my notes. Let me find my notes. Delegation is not a bad thing.
It's not.
It's not a bad thing. So um reframe, I know it can be an anxiety causing thing, but I think if we kind of reframe it and we call that anxiety excitement, I
Hmm.
think it can kind of help us just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about the growth, the future growth of Wait Pray Create. It's going to be good. And I do, I believe you're going to get the chance to honor, your father's life by making that trip to Egypt and then reclaiming, some of your space and all that you do. So that is excellent, Mackee. All right, we're getting ready to move to the next segment. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, this next segment is our recommendeds, where we talk about recommended books, recommended music, recommended podcasts. So we're going
Hmm.
to start with books. What do you have on your recommended reads list?
Um, right now I'm all about organizing books now. I want to, make sure that I'm using the best techniques and things like that. So one
Hmm.
of my
Hmm.
favorite authors right now is Nikki Boyd. She is a black professional organizer. She has a couple of books out. She has three books out. She has a YouTube channel. She's on Instagram, and she really breaks it down on how she organizes her home life, her business, her office, and I really enjoy reading her books because she really makes it really plain. Really, she breaks it down for you. There's no room for confusion or you getting, discombobulated on something. She really breaks it down. So I've been reading her books. I like them a lot. A couple of other books. I can't even think of the name of it. But I do have on my reading list, I want to read the book by Cicely Tyson. I ordered that. It's on my book list for the summer. Um, and I think that's about it right now.
Okay. Okay. All right. What about music? What are you listening to? What do you recommend that we listen to?
Well, listen, I am a 90s R&B New Jack Swing type of girl. It is something about Anita Baker and Guy and Belle Biv DeVoe and New Edition and Heavy D and the Boys and Tony Tone. It is something about that genre, that particular era that really just gets me excited. Like after I have done decluttering, I can turn that music on and I can conquer the world. I can listen to it. I have a playlist of about 250 songs that I just play on repeat. And
There's no better decade of music.
I agree. I agree. It's like, and what I love what kind of came out of the pandemic, these verses battles, and you
Yes.
have all of these old school entertainers coming back, and it's just taking you down memory lane. It's like every single song just reminds you of a particular point in your childhood or growing up, or that boyfriend or girlfriend that you had, and
Yes.
the school dances and parties and whatnot. It's like it's just nostalgic for me, so that's where I am at.
Yeah, music is, I can hear a song and a memory, a vivid
Yeah.
memory pops into my head. Did you watch the most recent verses
Yes,
with Bobby Brown and Keith Sweat?
absolutely.
I was thoroughly entertained. I was thoroughly entertained.
I packed because we came out to Houston last weekend, and I was packing and listening to that. And I just had my own little concert in the bedroom. And Kyle was like, "Girl, what you back here doing? Having the time of my life."
Yeah, yeah, man, thoroughly entertained. And those guys. And the crazy thing is, I wasn't really a Keith Sweat fan growing
Me
up,
neither. I wasn't. I thought he
but
whined too much, but
right, can't sing now. In my opinion, in my opinion, the brother can't sing, but he had some jams.
he did. And I was like, I have got to go back and update my playlist because I don't have a lot of Keith Sweat on there. But
Right, right,
surprisingly, I knew all of the lyrics. And so
right, right. Knew all of the lyrics, and then
knew
Bobby
all of the
Brown.
lyrics.
Bobby Brown is an American treasure.
He is. He is just
He
R&B royalty to me.
Yes, he is. He truly is. New Edition is the greatest group
Mhm.
ever. And then Bobby, Bobby was awesome, man. Bobby Brown was awesome. So I read something earlier this morning that they're gonna have a residency in Vegas,
I know. I saw
and
that.
yeah, and they're gonna be touring again. So between the tour and Vegas, I gotta put my eyes on New
Yeah.
Edition.
I've
I
never
gotta
been
put
to
my
one of
eyes
their
on.
concerts, so that is going to be added to my bucket list.
Reclaim that space. Make sure you go and see New Edition and Bobby Brown. Okay, McKee, recommended podcast. What podcast do you listen to? What do you recommend that we listen to?
Definitely the network. I listen to The Read with Kid Fury and Chriselle. I listen to Ratchet and Respectable with Demetria L. Lucas. I also am a huge fan of Dead Ass with Kadeem and DeVal. So
Yeah.
those are my podcasts.
Okay. Okay. Good. That's a good list right there. That's a good list. There's so much good content out there.
Mm-hmm.
So much good stuff out there. Okay, McKee. This brings us to the lightning round.
Oh dear.
Okay, so this is fun. This is one of my favorite things to do right here. So I got about 10 random questions. Okay, I'm just gonna throw them out there. First thing that comes to mind, that's what I want you to give us. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Now, this first question I ask just about everybody. If you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would it be and why?
To be invisible. I just would love to just not be in the room and listen to what people really say when I'm not there.
Okay, okay. Who is the messiest person you know? Who could use your services? and won't be offended if you call him out right
My husband Kyle.
here. Okay. Who is the most organized person you know besides yourself?
Um, my sister-in-law, Rhonda,
Okay.
Kevin's
Okay.
wife. Hmm.
Okay. Go ahead, Rhonda. All right. What is something your brain tries to make you do and you have to will yourself not to do
Eat,
it? Yeah.
eat.
Yeah. Food is good.
It is good. It is
Oh my
good.
goodness. All right. Do lucky charms work? Like good luck charms? Do they work?
I don't think so.
Are aliens real?
I think so.
What's
I,
your favorite subject in school? Oh, go back, go back. We rewind. Go back to the aliens. Go ahead.
I am all about sci-fi. I love alien movies. My favorite are the Alien series with Sigourney Weaver. I love Aliens 2 was my absolute favorite. I love anything apocalyptic that deals with aliens. I love
Okay. Okay.
those. A really good movie that I just watched was The Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt that just was released on Amazon. I
Okay.
watched it a couple of nights ago. It was really good, really good.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check that out.
I kind of like to believe that there is, life beyond, you know, our world, you know.
Yeah. I mean, nothing is too well. I don't think it's far fetched. Let me ask you this: did you watch Lovecraft Country?
I did.
What did you think about
It was a heavy show. I
it? Definitely
enjoyed it.
heavy.
Um, I think I need to read the book. I want to read the book.
Mm, that's a good idea. That's a good idea because I loved it. I was kind of disappointed they didn't bring back a second season, but
Yeah.
that first season was so heavy. I had to watch it twice. I had to
Yeah.
go back and watch it twice because I was like, okay, this is heavy. Okay, all right, let's keep running. Here we go.
Okay.
Favorite subject in school?
History.
What social media platform do you use the most?
Instagram.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes.
What's the opposite of a penguin?
A penguin. Uh, um, I don't know. A whale. I don't know. A
I don't listen.
seal.
A seal? Okay, okay. All right, bonus question. Who made the first move? You or your husband?
My husband.
Okay, and that was the lightning round. See? Pretty
Ain't
painless.
it
Wasn't too
all?
bad, was it?
It wasn't.
All right, see? All right. So this brings us to our last segment. It is called You Didn't Ask.
Okay.
This is the segment in which you get to share unsolicited advice that nobody asked for, but you're going to give it to us anyway. So, what do you have for You Didn't Ask?
I would say my unsolicited advice is get into some counseling. I feel I am a huge advocate of mental health. It is, I work in that profession, and it is so beneficial to you becoming your best self. Um, we as a people, especially in the Black community, mental health is such a taboo, and we have been raised and it has been ingrained in us to just pray away, take it to God, leave it at the altar, and everything will work itself out. And I just don't believe in that. I think that you can still love God and still attend church and also have a therapist at the same time.
Amen. Amen. Lights and walls. Amen. Lights and
You can
walls.
have both. I think that just like God put doctors and surgeons and all of these medical professionals on this earth, he did the same for therapists and social workers and counselors. He put these people here as a tool to help you get through whatever is impacting your life negatively. We have suffered so many different traumas, the way we grew up, what we have witnessed probably in the last 4 or 5 years, just the things that we've seen with the racial injustices that we've encountered.
Hmm.
We need some therapy. Like, that stuff
Yes.
doesn't go away. And so I always tell, you know, family and friends that I see struggling, hey man, get into some therapy. It doesn't mean that you're weak. You don't need to be embarrassed by it. Get into some counseling. It will make a world of difference. I have had it throughout my life. My husband has had to go through therapy when he lost his dad, and it's really something that we think is very beneficial. We need it. It's a need. Just like you need to go to the doctor for your physical health, you need to have a mental professional that can help you when you are feeling overwhelmed, or that you are feeling um you don't feel like yourself. You're weighed down with, work and life and, whatever's going on. It's okay to have a mental therapist, and you can do it now. You don't have to go and sit on somebody's couch. You can do it out of the comfort of your home, with telecommuting, teleservices. You can talk on the phone, all kinds. There's so many avenues that are available now, that where you don't have to leave the comfort of your home to get help. So that's my unsolicited advice.
That's good. That's good. The recurring theme so far in season 2 of the network has been mental health.
Absolutely.
It has been dealing with trauma. So we're definitely going to make sure that we go back and then we touch on some of these things, because it is very important that we heal. One of the ways that you can begin healing is by reclaiming your space.
Absolutely.
So make sure that you declutter. Organizing is a skill. If you're not good at it, get some help. Find somebody who can help you, who is good at it. We just heard from a professional, right? We just heard from Mackee Sykes of Wake, Pray, Create, MS. Um, she is absolutely outstanding. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This has been the network. This is our attempt at recreating a modern podcast version of the Negro Motorist Green Book. Each interview, we're building a network of talented professionals, even in the organizational arena, that you can reach out and touch. Every episode is designed to help the mental, physical, spiritual, and financial health of Black people living in and traveling through America. I am Michael Prejean. This has been Mackee Sykes. Mackee, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody, y'all subscribe to the network. You never know. You might need it. Mackee, thank you again. God bless you.
Thank you for having me.